Okay. Now, first, I want to start with a rare live music appearance at Mozambique this week. It's in the main live music auditorium called Ivan's House, up on the second floor. If your resume includes the pertinent fact that you're a longtime Deadhead, this one is definitely for you. Wall of Sound is back on Thursday this week, November 13th. And these guys are about the best you're ever going to find in the country as the tribute band to the Grateful Dead. Now, I know I don't need to be telling you Deadheads this, but reason for the name of this band, Wall of Sound, back in 1973, the Grateful Dead's sound crew came up with this enormous sound reinforcement system for live stage events outdoors, because at the time they had as many as 100,000 people showing up for their events. Deadheads, like some of you out there. It was this new engineering feat that definitely led to the more enhanced outdoor event sound systems that came through in the 80s and early 90s. And it was essentially a wall of speakers, 604 total speakers, and vacuum tube amplifiers that projected their sound without any degradation for more than a quarter mile. It was a 75-ton wall. The Wall of Sound. So that's this Thursday at Ivan's House. And remember, you have the entire Mozambique menu available to you there. I have many favorites on that very reasonably priced menu. So enjoy dinner and the amazing Grateful Dead tribute. Okay? All right. So for my session today, I want to start with 3 gems that I really want you to take time discovering this week. Let's start with what I said before. They tend to be hidden gems, even though 2 of the 3 have been around for a while. One has been around for 35 years. Another has been around for about 25 years. And then we've got one that is a new entry 6 months ago. And you know what? I'm actually going to talk about another one that's a brand new entry. Well, actually, they came in August, September, so 3 months. Okay. Places you're probably not thinking about that I don't want you to just think about. You deserve to be in there. So what I first want to talk about, this week I took myself to the Cliff restaurant for breakfast. Now in the off season, which is our season now, it's Friday through Sundays, starting at 8 a.m. And it's such an amazing, quiet place to be for just a few minutes to start your day. I mean, what a great place to do like a little breakfast business meeting. I mean, it's so fantastic. So the Cliff restaurant, for all of you locals, you already know, it sits at the top of Legion in that cool artisan village, right? So Legion and Coast Highway, just about, a block up from the Hotel Laguna, a block up meaning south, right? So this was taken on by 2 sisters. This whole village was taken on by 2 sisters, Kathy Gibson and Sharon Heron, whose parents founded Laguna Village Arts and Flowers in the 1960s in that space. Now today, that village hosts the Cliff restaurant plus 12 artisan shops with strictly original handmade work. Now, that's the rules. So you've got all these cute little arty, pods. And then you work your way down to the Cliff restaurant, which sits on the edge, and the view is stunning. I mean, I think it's the best view in Laguna Beach. So 18 years at the helm is Andrew Tarula. He's the GM, and he has been there since 2006. He started as a server, and he started moving on up to the GM. And he and I chat back and forth every now and then, and I decided to go with food and drink for breakfast. I wanted to see this place. And the one thing I love about it is that it's so much fun to watch people come in who aren't really familiar with Laguna Beach, and they sit down to that incredible view with the ocean and the whales and the dolphins and all of that stuff going on. And they are just so happy and delighted. It's so much fun just to watch them. So yes, decadent view. So I decided to pair my food as decadently as possible with the view. So I started with their Bloody Mary, what they call the Cliff Jumper. And really, I could have stopped right there for breakfast. This thing was enormous. I have pictures of all of this at bestoflagunabeach.com. The Bloody Mary stood about a foot tall. It had this gigantic skewer with a crab claw and then a shrimp underneath the crab claw. And then they had 2 or 3 strips of crispy bacon inside the drink. And they had all kinds of green olives. And then they had, of course, celery sticks. And then they had pickled asparagus and carrots all rimming along the side. It was insane. It was spectacular. And what was really cool about it was that as soon as I ordered it, the table next to me and the table, they were like, what is that? And they all ordered the drink as well. It's a stunner. It's crazy. And then I ordered the chicken and waffles because, well, why not? I mean, if we're going decadent, right? So they have this full Belgian waffle that's deconstructed into these 4 separate sections. And so they've got the 4 separate sections all lined up on this gigantic platter. And then they have 2 large fried chicken pieces that sit on top of the waffles. And then the most fun part are these 3 ramekins that come along the edge. One had maple syrup. One had sriracha butter. Sriracha butter. So it turns out that Chip Heron, the bar manager and one of the owner's sons, he's the one who came up with that butter. And I got to tell you, it is spectacular on those waffles with the syrup and the fried chicken. And then that's not all. There was one big, almost like a soup bowl size of country gravy, because of course you can't have fried chicken without country gravy. So it was crazy. I managed to get one section of that waffle down, not because it wasn't delicious, because it was insane. It was sweet, it was savory, it was salty, it was everything. I managed to eat one section and a little bit of the chicken. And that was really all I could handle because I'd already had this gigantic drink with all of the fancy stuff. So anyway, it was a lot, easily shareable. Though Andrew did tell me that he's seen many individuals take down the entire plate. I don't know how they do it. So then for photography posterity's sake only, of course, because I was way too stuffed already. They have eggs Benedict on the menu, and I think they have 3 or 4 different kinds. They've got a crab Benedict that they call the California Benedict. They have the traditional one, and then they have the garden Benedict, and that's the one that I ordered because at least among the bright yellow egg yolks, there were 2 of them, and the buttered English muffin and the really rich, generous ladle of hollandaise, there was at least some sauteed spinach, So I got my greens with all of that, right? And it was really fun to just hang out there and enjoy the view and the breeze and the talk and the beautiful food. It was great. It's a perfect thing for anybody who's having one of those weeks when you've just got to unwind and take a break. So I want to also remind you that the Cliff also has Monday through Friday happy hour, 3 to 6 p.m. Super popular Taco Tuesday, big giant tacos, which runs from 4 p.m. to close. And that sits on top of the already existing happy hour menu on Tuesdays. And then they do this special game day grub menu for every day or night that pro football games are playing in the Cliff Bar. And even through our winter months, live music is there 3 nights a week, Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday. We're not talking little bands. We're talking Party Foul, Trisha Freeman Band, The Perfect Blend, all just amazing, great regional bands. Okay, so that's it for Cliff. Reservations for breakfast aren't as difficult on Friday, but definitely I would call or go online for the weekend. So the phone there, Cliff, is 949-494-1956. Or you can reserve online. All right. In this next session of Best of Laguna Beach with Diane Armitage, I want to move into another happy hour that I've discovered that I think you should discover as well. And a perfect time to be mentioning this because Wednesday, November 12th, is National Happy Hour Day. Now, I have mentioned Piatti a few weeks ago because I finally noticed that they had started a special lunch menu every day of the weekday. And that's quite a fun time with something they also have in play during lunch. So you can choose anything from their big menu, but you can also do the choose 2 for $25 option where you get 2 items, full-size items for $25. I thought that was really inventive, and it's turned out to be quite a lovely lunch for me and my friends these last few weeks. I mean, these are big meals, so they may even be shareable for your lunchtime crowd. So since Piatti is relatively new, they came in at the end of May. I decided to try their happy hour. I can't remember what day I was in there, maybe Tuesday. That runs from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m., primarily in the bar, but you can ask for the happy hour menu anywhere in the restaurant, including the patio. They're very easygoing about it. So what I like about this, everything on the happy hour menu cannot be found on the regular menu. There's one item that I saw duplicated, And that's because it's their best-selling appetizer, the frito misto, which is this giant plate of fried calamari, but it also has fried zucchini and jalapeno strips, really, really tasty. My friends and I always order it when we go in for appetizers and dinner. So anyway, I popped in by myself one early evening. It was around the Coast Film Festival. At any rate, I decided to order the spicy meatballs with polenta, which was just $8. And then I also asked for the Piatti spritz. It's this classic, Aperol, Prosecco combo, also priced at $8. So the meatballs arrived in this super cool skillet, 3 big meatballs on this bed of perfectly cooked polenta, which is not necessarily easy to cook, and this lovely ladle of their popular marinara sauce. I was able to finish one of the meatballs. It was big. And then the bar manager, Jason, trotted out with a new item that they're adding to the happy hour menu. Wholehearted vote here, their Italian burger. Girly. Okay, so this is definitely making it into my top 5 burgers of Laguna Beach list. I'm not kidding. It was nothing short of fantastic. So they combine pork and beef for the patty, and then they crispy up this pancetta. So it's kind of this really lovely take on the classic bacon on a burger. And then they throw in these beautifully caramelized onions and melty provolone. And then a very surprise entry, micro slices of fried pepperoncini. Pepperoncini, right? Now, there were only just a few little bites, but I mean, maybe 3 total on the whole burger, but just just enough to really add this cool little crunch and a little hit of sparky heat, right? Such a great addition. And then their lettuce is tossed with fresh pesto, just a little bit of fresh pesto, not to make it soggy, but just to give it a little bit of interesting flavor. And of course, then they have this big tomato slice. It looked like a beefsteak tomato. And the plate comes with a heap of fries too. So I cut the burger into quarters, and I had exactly one of those quarters, and it was really immaculate. I mean, I'm not kidding. And so the next day I had another quarter, which was my take home. And the next day I had another quarter for my take home. So those are the items I tried. But aside from the meatballs and the burger that I keep thinking about, they also offer a full-size pepperoni pizza and their Frito Misto and a big old stack of Parmesan crusted fries. They also offer, I think, 2 beers, 2 wines, and 3 cocktails. So all of those priced on the happy hour menu, definitely worth a drop in. So Piatti is open 7 days a week. Their lunch and happy hour is 5 days a week during weekdays. I don't think there's any need to really reserve for happy hour. I don't even know if they do, but dinner reservations I would suggest. So Piatti's phone number, 949-377-1100. 979-377-1100, or you can go online and try it there too. Okay. Just to remind you, this is Diane Arbitage, KXFM Radio 104.7. Also streaming video at my YouTube channel for Best of Laguna Beach. And today I want to move into my next segment on Rumari. Now, you've heard me talk about this. It's my newly rediscovered spot, but I just want to thank you readers and listeners out there who have actually popped into Rumari, our long-standing Rumari, for their happy hour and dinners. I've received all sorts of great feedback over the last few weeks, and I love hearing from you guys whenever you try something that I recommend, or you want me to try something that you recommend. For goodness sakes, keep sending me those emails. I had listeners from Las Vegas pop into town to try Coyote Grill's Baja grilled local lobster and Piatti and Rumari, and I loved all of their great feedback. And then last week, I had friends on the block who just visited Rumari for dinner and told me that they were blown away with the food and service. Between the 4 of them, they took 2 of their friends from San Clemente, who are big foodie friends. They ordered the swordfish puttanesca, which is their beautiful grilled swordfish, which is sauteed with garlic and olives and capers and has this fresh marinara sauce. My friend told me it was spectacular. 2 of them ordered that. Another person in the party ordered the veal piccata. I've had this as well, the veal scallopini. Oh, so just beautiful, tender, thin slices, sauteed with lemon, butter, and capers, and served with the spaghetti marinara sauce as well. Also very fabulous. And then a special of the evening, they had a linguine with this really rich mushroom sauce. Divine, they say. Spectacular, fabulous, and divine. Those are the three words I got from them. I know you can't do much better than that. Folks, I love supporting the new restaurants in this town, and we can all help them get their footing. But don't forget the amazing longtime existing restaurants we have too. Rumari is open Wednesdays through Sundays, so you can go online to reserve. You don't need to for happy hour. It is definitely busy at happy hour, but reserving for dinner, definitely yes. Call Rumari's direct. Their number, 949-494-0400. Okay. Oh, and one other thing I want to remind you of about Rumari. They have a free shuttle service that picks you up at your home and takes you back to your home. And this is within an 8-mile radius of the restaurant. Now, Rumari sits about a half block from Mozambique. Ivan Spears owns both of these restaurants. And he also provides valet through Mozambique. So you can always pull up your car to Mozambique, check in there, and just walk the half block south to Rumari. It's super easy. So shuttle service available to you and valet as well. So no complaining to me about not being able to find parking, okay? Okay, so next. Oh my goodness, we're at the half-hour mark already. Ooh, okay. This is Diane Armitage with KXF Radio 104.7. You've got me today by myself talking about 4 actually hidden gems in Laguna Beach. I'm moving into my next segment now, which is on Q Terrace. Now, I know some of you are like, Q what? Q Terrace, which took over the old Red Dragon space in August, and it sits directly across from the Pacific Edge Hotel. Now, on last week's radio show with Ruben, we talked about going there the week prior for the first time ever, and we took Nelson along with us, of course. And this is a stunning, beautiful restaurant. When Red Dragon created this restaurant, I said it was the most beautiful restaurant and the most beautiful roof deck in town. It is still stunning. And the owners are beautiful and friendly too. Sayeda Sihimi actually is the operator. She's in partnership with her Ukrainian counterpart, Volodymyr Shapinko. Now, he actually created the Q Terrace concept, first in Kiev, Ukraine, and now it's in other parts of the world. She's been here since 1990, and she's been in the restaurant industry for decades. And this is the first time she's decided to open here in the United States with this beautiful restaurant. So they recruited Chef Tigran Petrosyan, who's Armenian, and he's trained in a French kitchen. Now, if you culinary people know anything about what that phrase means, you know what that phrase means. French kitchens are considered the quintessential in the world. I mean, it's how they train really the best chefs in the world, and rigorous training to say the least. 7 stations in the kitchen that every chef in the kitchen must master, and a reputation for meticulously prepared dishes, a big focus on wine pairings, and a focus on these leisurely multi-course meal structures that encourage savoring the food and savoring the conversation. As you find in European restaurants, and especially in French restaurants, you are encouraged to loiter, to hang out and enjoy the experience. And when you have anyone who's been trained rigorously in the French kitchen world, this is part of that demeanor that works its way into the energy of the restaurant. So Q Terrace, it's not a bistro. It's an experience. And that rooftop they have there is to die for. Absolutely stunning design, like I said. Now, when the 3 of us were there the first time, as noted in last week's show, we started down below in the front bar area, and then we moved up to the 3rd floor and sat at the bar on the rooftop level. And let me see if I can remember everything. Salmon tartare, and we had the bruschetta. They make all that bread in-house. And then they have the baked camembert with garlic toasts and roasted tomatoes. Oh, that was a recommendation from the bar manager, Kevin. He's fantastic. And then for entrees at our first visit, I had the chicken Kiev. Oh, so good. Oh, so good. It's just this rolled chicken, and then you fork and knife your way into it. And it's got this beautiful garlic herb butter center that kind of just infuses the creamy mashed potatoes beneath it. Ruben had the grilled salmon with lots of wonderful veggies topped with red caviar. And Nelson had the seafood risotto, which was shrimp, scallops, and calamari. And he just raved about it. And honestly, I thought it was one of the best risottos I've ever had. And then, of course, they brought over their homeland dessert, which was these silver dollar size, these fluffy cottage cheese pancakes that were amazing. Okay. So in that first meeting, we met the owner, Sadi Semi, that evening, and she invited us back last week to meet with her and her husband, Sandeep. So it was a decadent evening once again, and the five of us talked for more than 3 hours. So many stories of how they met, with Sandeep here and Semi in Ukraine, her family still in Ukraine, fighting in the war, her rise in international restaurant culinary, their amazing find in the chef, just trying to figure out the Laguna Beach vibe here, which was a lot of the conversation, right? We so get it, right? Many of the best restaurants in this town are just really struggling. Like my friends told me after their visit to Rumari, they said it was probably half full and we couldn't figure out why it wasn't packed. Everything is fabulous. They said the service, the food, the atmosphere, it's the whole amazing deal, just like you said. That is verbatim for my friends. And still these restaurants are wondering why they're not bringing more people into their restaurants. Okay, so let's go back to Q Terrace. So by the way, the Q stands for quality and quintessence. All right. So Kevin made us drinks and he explained our drinks. Okay. So for all of you old timers out there who have been eating in Laguna Beach as long as I have, he reminds me of Adam from the first Sapphire restaurant. Remember Adam with the black rimmed glasses? And he was the mixology mastermind of Laguna Beach. I mean, Kevin is like this. He's like a doppelganger. He doesn't look the same, but he is the energy of what Adam was in our world. This guy, Kevin, he steams and he stirs and he creates these syrups and these infusions and these really unexpected ingredients that he puts together. He's like a really happy, mad scientist with your drink. Now, this time we ordered different food. So we ordered the fried calamari first. And Ruben and Nelson and I are perennial fans of calamari. We tend to get it everywhere we go. And this was very significant. It arrived with this great sweet chili sauce, really wonderful. And the calamari rings were just big and meaty. It was really wonderful. And then Sayeda and her husband joined us and they ordered up their simply stated hummus on bread. This is another thing about French menus. They tend to say 3 words and then it's like 92 ingredients in the thing. It was such a beautiful dish. I mean, it was so beautiful. We were kind of afraid to mess it up. This whole platter with this hummus in the circle, and in the middle of the circle are these beautiful blanched almonds in the very center. And then dotted symmetrically around in the hummus were these seeds of pomegranates. And then it's a bit of oil that was kind of drizzled around. And then the fresh baked pitas that they had just baked that day. I mean, it was crazy. You got to go to my website at bestoflagunabeach.com to see this. Then they ushered out their cheese and charcuterie plate. They called it a plate. It was more like a trough. It was this big oblong dish with big chunks, maybe of at least, I would say 5 cheeses, 3 meats, all spiraled into flower shapes and folded very neatly. And then they had all kinds of olives and grapes and more of their home baked bread, but this time it was the crostini, kind of like the toasted crostini. Oh, so good. So for dinner, I ordered the Chilean sea bass, which arrived on this bed of sauteed black and green briny olives and tomatoes and kale, sauteed kale with, it had this drizzle underneath as well as just a little pop of drizzle on top of the seafood of the bass. White wine butter, rosemary, garlic sauce. White wine butter, rosemary, garlic. 5 things. White wine butter, rosemary, garlic sauce. Now, I am not typically a Chilean sea bass orderer because I find that most places do not even come close to living up to the billing of the Chilean sea bass or the hype. This, however, was beautifully, beautifully done. Ruben ordered another of their homeland Ukrainian dishes, the golubtsi, which is described as a classic and comforting Ukrainian dish of tender cabbage leaves filled with seasoned rice and beef, slow braised in a savory tomato sauce topped with sour cream and cilantro sauce. Now, when I was in elementary school back in the day, something like first grade, they used to serve us something in the lunch line that sounded a lot like this. And the description sounds a lot like it too. And that memory still plagues me because it was not my favorite hot lunch item. And what showed up for Reuben was a far cry from the sad lunch line days. It was just this incredible blend of so many flavors. And they each came, it was almost like a pinwheel. Oh, gosh, the plating was just beautiful. So many flavors, so many layers of flavors in that. Just, it was unreal. And then Nelson ordered the salmon croissant sandwich because they told us on the last visit that Chef bakes all of the breads and pastries in-house. And Nelson said that he had been thinking about it ever since. Well, initially they brought out the caprese beef sandwich, which was about a 6-inch high croissant sandwich stacked with the most beautiful shaved beef tenderloin with all of the fixings. But Nelson doesn't eat beef. I took a photo, of course, and then they whisked it back to the kitchen and in just a couple of minutes produced the salmon sandwich, which might have looked even, I don't know, prettier than the first, if that's even possible. It was more like shaved lox with arugula and tomato and this super secret cream sauce that they would not impart the recipe of. Nelson was in heaven. Meanwhile, Sada's husband, ordered the prime beef filet mignon, and it's served with green mashed potato, which I need to get to the bottom of, and a blue cheese sauce. Oh, so good. And Sieda ordered this Greek salad, and it was this towering, happy rumble of chunky cucumbers and feta cheese and blocks and tomato and 2 briny black olives and Mediterranean olives and yellow pepper and red onion and torn romaine and leaf lettuces and all these clipped herbs on top because it's French. It was so lovely and so fresh. So pricing wise, I follow a lot of the menus and pricing in this town. Terrace is closest in price to 234 downtown. And they have a few dishes that come in at the Drake menu or the Broadway by Amar Santana menu pricing, which, all 3 of those restaurants are still a far cry from another tier of higher priced menus in this town. I just have to say, I'm really impressed with the quality of food these people are putting out. And if you haven't been there to welcome them, stop into Terrace. It is at 680 South Coast Highway, Laguna Beach. The phone is 949-899-9083. Or go online and reserve online, qterrace.com. Okay.